Welcome. I am Omar Blagrove. I am an SRC STEM ambassador. I am a teacher and also a founder of Aeroponics. Today, we'll be talking about aeroponics and aquaponics. Now, most of you already would have been familiar with hydroponics already, but little is known about aeroponics and aquaponics. So today, I am going to teach you about them. You might ask, how did I get into this? It all started during the pandemic, and I had to decide, I'm home. How am I going to feed my family? How am I going to provide them the adequate nutrients that they need and the vegetables that they need? So there began my research. I watched countless hours of videos on YouTube and read as much as I could find. And I did as much practice as I could. I experimented with different plants, different nutrients, until I found the right solution. Now let's talk about aeroponics. Aeroponics is the growing of plants in the air, as it says. Let me show you. Here we'll see the rooting system of our plants. Now what happens is that the water or the nutrients is in our container at the bottom. That nutrient is pumped up to the top and slowly misted on the roots. So the roots are suspended within this tower and it picks up all the nutrients that it needs. Now this system grows leafy veg, it grows lettuce, it grows mint, and it grows numerous other things. Now here, it is simple do your planting. All I can do is I get my plants, I put them in a net cup, and I enter them into my tower. And all that happens is that the nutrients keeps misting all the way down. And this recirculates hours and hours for the day. Now this system is put on a timer, so every 15 minutes it goes off and goes on. So the rooting system will never be dry. And your plants can stay here and grow to the desired length that you want. Now aeroponics is a very interesting thing. The reason why I say aeroponics is a very interesting thing is because of the space it saves. Now right here now I am growing at least 30 plants in a 16 by 16 inch area. Now if I put this vertical all the way up, I might be able to grow at least 50 to 60 plants within that area. So in a regular system, I would have to be digging the ground, I would have to be fertilizing and weeding, but in an aeroponic system, I can grow as much as I can in a confined space. So I learned the benefits of that. So in this space here, in this tower here, I have around 30 plants that I would be able to grow in this, and the only thing I would need to maintain is the pH level and the EC level of the water or the nutrients. And the plants will pick everything up that it needs. Let's look at it. That's easy. That's nothing to do. Now most people would, when I say net cups, would think of these as the only thing that I can use to plant in my aeroponic system. But no, I've gone cheap as well. I have been able to use plastic cups and also shade cloths to plant in as well. And your plants will grow just fine. Because sometimes we think that we need all the expensive things to grow. But here, I'm going to show you the example again. That this root right here, this plant, is growing in a plastic cup. So we recycle. Now you might ask, what nutrients do we need? How does the plant get the nutrients? So what we do is that we mix different solutions. You can get different solutions at your farm stores or your regular greenhouse stores. Now, over here, I have some of the things that I use. Your potassium nitrate, calcium nitrate, magnesium sulfate, and iron. Now, there are different formulations that you can use to get different macro and micronutrients all your plants need to survive. Now, there are also different tools that we will use in your hydroponics and aeroponics solutions. This right here is an EC meter. This measures the electrical conductivity of the water. And also, this is your pH tester right here. This ensures that your plants their water is at the proper level that it needs to maintain for your plants to pick up the nutrients. Here we have a timer. This timer is used just to make sure your system turns on and off correctly and at the set time. So that is aeroponics. And now we'll be talking about my favorite, aquaponics. Now what's better? Growing plants while raising fish. Here we have a recirculating aquaponics system set up for you. Now this uses 90% less water than your traditional farming methods, and you also get some good escovitch fried fish when you're ready. Now let me explain this system to you. Now it's not just about growing fish and using the waste to grow the plants. There is a process to it. Now here we have our aquarium here set up with our tilapia, and your ministry is now pushing tilapia for you to eat. So it's good for you. So we have our tank here set up. Now in this tank, you'll notice we have some pipes here in this tank. Now this is called a solid lifting outlet. What this does is that it sucks up all the poop that's on the ground through the pipe, and then it goes into our solid lifting outlet right here. What happens is that all the solids gets pulled down to the bottom, and then the liquid moves on to the next stage. Now, why is this important? This is a very important step. I now can separate the waste, and I can put that down, dry it, and use it for other traditional farming methods as fertilizer. So here we have a photo of that dried down that we can use. Now we'll move on to the next step. So in that process, after we separated the waste and the liquid moves on, it moves on to what we call our mechanical filter. It's a simple way of saying that we have different materials inside of them that will allow any solids that might have escaped to be trapped. So we use different forms of media that traps the solids inside of that. Afterwards, we move on to what we call our biological filter. And why it's called that is because good bacteria is colonized on these bottle caps, and whatever nitrite that comes from the waste of the fish is then converted into nitrates, which the plants need to survive. My science teacher would have been proud of me right now. Now that is then now circulated all the way around to our plants. And the plants get to extract all that good nutrients, micro and macronutrients that it needs to grow big and strong. And then afterwards now, after it extracts all that, whatever clean water is left is then now circulated back into the aquarium. So a recirculating aquaponics system is a closed system. It allows you to use the waste from the fish, and then afterwards it then takes that waste, changes it into the nitrates that the plants need, and then it recirculates back to the plants, and it continues into that loop that you need. And that is how you get your aquaponics system. And this is why I love it, because I am able not only to have my plants, but I am also able to have the fish as well for my family. Now let's talk about benefits of these systems. Now the benefit overall for this system is that you're able to use less resources. Now you might say, oh, but you have to use a pump to recirculate and all that. Yes, but when you look at it, you're saving more water than your traditional farming methods, and you're able to do this in a much smaller space. Now remember in the beginning I said that I found Aeroponics. Now Aeroponics is a backyard initiative that shows persons how they can grow plants and fish within their small space. So can you imagine having one of these set up at your home? When you're ready, every 6 to 8 weeks, you'll be able to reap your lettuce, reap your kale, your basil, all your leafy veg, and within every 6 to 9 months, you can be able to reap fish as well. What better it is? What more do you want? Eat what you grow what you eat. Now, there are some things that we need to mention. The main drawback to most systems is your setup, your initial setup cost. But just like regular farming, you have to till the soil, you have to put in all the inputs. It is basically the same. You have to purchase all the things that you might need. So here we look at some of the things that you might need as well. One of them is your pH tester, because you have to make sure that the pH level of your water is right for your fish and also your plants. Now as well, this system does not waste much. So here we have what we call fish hydrosolate, because what happens is death is a part of life and some fish must die. You are now able to use the dead fish with some special enzymes and some glucose, and then you can turn that into nitrogen-rich fertilizer for your plants as well. So in a system like this, we use everything. Aquaponics to me is the future, which you're able to use less chemicals and you're able to use just the byproducts of your fish to grow your plants. So join me today in your aquaponics and aeroponics and hydroponics venture. And that's it for today. Now remember to join us again for another episode of the SRC STEM Virtual Experiment Series. And remember, like, share, and subscribe to the SRC. See you later.